Title: The Mirror of Self-Respect. When Mia was just a child, she learned something that would haunt her for the rest of her life. The difference between the love we give to others and the love we give to ourselves. It was a lesson that unfolded slowly, like the petals of a flower, and it would take years for her to truly understand its weight. But once she did, the world shifted in ways she couldn't have anticipated. Mia grew up in a small town where everyone knew everyone else's business. Her mother, a warm-hearted woman, was always the first to lend a hand, always the first to say yes, and always the first to sacrifice her own needs for others. Mia admired her mother's kindness and dreamed of being just like her. However, as the years went by, Mia began to notice something. Her mother's kindness often went unappreciated. People took her for granted, leaned on her when they needed help, but never seemed to return the favor. At first, Mia didn't understand. Her mother would smile through the exhaustion, never once complaining, always helping others. Yet Mia could see the toll it took on her. Her mother's bright eyes slowly faded, her posture slouched, and her laugh became more and more rare. It was as if the world was consuming her, and all she had to give was a never-ending stream of compassion, while her own needs and desires were pushed aside. When Mia was 14, she overheard a conversation between her mother and a family friend. "You deserve more," the friend said softly. "But you never take it for yourself. You always put everyone else before you." Her mother didn't respond, only gave a quiet, weary laugh. "It's just the way I am," she said. "Some people are born to give." Mia couldn't grasp the full meaning of the conversation at that age, but it stayed with her. Years later, when Mia was old enough to truly understand the weight of what had been said, she realized the painful truth. Her mother had given everything, yet had nothing left for herself. By the time Mia entered her 20s, she had absorbed her mother's lesson. She, too, became the one who gave. She poured her heart into relationships, friendships, and her job, always saying yes, always putting others before herself. She found satisfaction in being needed, in being the one others leaned on. But as the years passed, something inside her began to break. She was exhausted, emotionally drained, and no one seemed to notice. It was during a particularly tough week at work, when she had been running on fumes, that she encountered a stranger who would change everything. Mia had just finished a long shift, only to be called in again to help with an urgent project. On her way home, she stopped at a small cafe for a cup of coffee, hoping for a moment of peace. As she stood in line, a voice interrupted her thoughts. "Are you okay?" She turned to find an older woman, sitting alone at a corner table, watching her with gentle eyes. "Yeah, I'm fine," Mia replied quickly, brushing off the question. But the woman didn't seem convinced. "You don't look fine," she said. "You look like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. Let me guess. You've been giving, haven't you?" Mia blinked, taken aback. "How do you know?" The woman smiled knowingly. "I've been there." "We all have, at some point. But let me ask you something. Do you ever take the time to give to yourself?" Mia stared at her, unable to respond. The question hit her like a ton of bricks. The woman continued. "You can give until you have nothing left to give, but if you don't replenish yourself, you'll eventually run out. That's what happened to me." She paused, looking out the window. "I gave everything to everyone else, but I never learned to give to myself. And when I had nothing left, I realized I had nothing of value to offer anyone anymore." Mia felt her throat tighten. She didn't know why, but something about this stranger's words cut through her like a sharp blade. She sat down at the woman's table, her coffee forgotten. "Self-respect," the woman said softly, "isn't just about boundaries. It's about recognizing that you are just as worthy of love and care as anyone else. You cannot pour from an empty cup. No matter how much you love others, you have to learn to love yourself first. Otherwise, one day, you'll look in the mirror and wonder who you've become. Someone who gave too much and lost themselves in the process." It was that moment that changed Mia's life. Over the following weeks, she began the hard work of learning self-respect. She took small steps, setting boundaries at work, saying no to things that drained her, and carving out time for herself. She began to rediscover her passions, things she had long abandoned in the pursuit of pleasing others. She took up painting again, something she had loved as a child, and found herself immersed in the joy it brought her. But the hardest lesson came when she had to confront the people in her life: family, friends, colleagues who had unknowingly taken her for granted. At first, it was uncomfortable. Mia feared she would disappoint them, that they would think she was selfish or distant. But as she began to stand up for herself, to say no when necessary, she found something unexpected: respect. People started to notice. They respected her more when she respected herself. Her relationships deepened, and she realized that the ones who truly cared about her were the ones who supported her journey of self-respect. But there was still one thing. Mia had to do one final step. She had to have a conversation with her mother. It had been years since they had talked openly about her mother's sacrifices. But one evening, Mia sat her down. She told her what she had learned, what she had come to understand about the importance of self-respect. Her mother listened quietly, her eyes soft with both pride and regret. "I wish I had learned this sooner," her mother said, her voice tinged with sadness. "I spent so much time giving that I forgot to live for myself. But I'm proud of you, Mia. You've learned what I never did. And maybe it's time for me to start learning too." Years passed, and Mia's life was transformed. She found a balance between giving and receiving, between loving others and loving herself. She built a career she was proud of, nurtured relationships that nourished her, and most importantly, she finally respected herself. Mia's journey wasn't always easy. There were times when it felt like she was slipping back into old habits, times when she wanted to please others, to give more than she had. But she knew now that her self-worth was not defined by what she could offer others, but by how she treated herself. Looking back, Mia realized that the most powerful form of respect was not from others. It was the respect she had learned to give herself. And it was that respect that allowed her to truly live, to love, and to give in ways that were meaningful, sustainable, and real. Because Mia had learned the most important lesson of all: self-respect is not selfish. It is the foundation for all other forms of love.